Welcome, I'm Max Gedler. You're watching Melbourne Music Tonight. For a show committed to showcasing up-and-coming musicians and artists, we couldn't have picked a better destination to do so. It's often considered the live music capital of Australia, home to a multitude of venues catering to exceptional talent week by week. To kick off tonight's show, we'll be joined by the talented Bodes, followed by the indie vibes of Seattle Fix. Enjoy.
Am I right or am I wrong? Before you answer, tell me where your words come from. Are they from a Holy Spirit? Did you read them off a page? What is right? What is wrong? Can anyone really say? I have so many questions, sound simple though they might. Those who claim the answers must have intelligence divine. Those who come closest to those who think too hard. No one man should ever have his word be the law. Am I right or am I wrong? Before you answer, tell me where your words come from. Are they from the Holy Spirit? Did you read them off a page? What is right? What is wrong? Can anyone really say? Friend, in your confusion, well, you're feeling way down low. Why is it you're so afraid of things that you don't know? Like to be at peace with the ignorance you find. Illuminate the darkness one piece at a time. Oh, am I right or am I wrong? Before you answer, tell me where your words come from. Is it the Holy Spirit? Did you read them off a page? What is right and what is wrong? Can anyone really say?
Welcome to Melbourne Music Tonight. I'm Max Gedler and I'm joined by Bodes. Hello.
All right.
So, tell us, how did you get the name Bodes?
Well, my name's Dale Bowden, and when I realized I finally had to get a Facebook page and start getting some likes, because it makes it that much easier to book gigs in a town where no one knows you, I thought it would be a lot easier if my little name was shorter and punchier and just more memorable. So when I'm going to open mics or playing on the street or whatever I'm doing, when I don't have any gigs in a new town and someone asks, you know, who are you, where can we find you, to just make it easier for people to find me online, really. And yeah.
So you studied jazz at Whopper. So how has that helped your skills as an artist?
I think the biggest thing that I got, that I used the most, I mean, it's impossible to compare just the skill set I had leaving Whopper compared to as a guitarist I had entering. I was genuinely under the impression when I was 16 that I was about as good as you could get at guitar. Like, I'd pretty much figured out how guitar playing worked. And then I got there and I was the worst in my year of the certificate course. That's not going into the bachelor's or the diplomas or anything, but just, it's a real great shock to the senses to learn how far behind you are and how much you have to learn. But I'd say the biggest thing I got that I use the most now, since I don't play jazz very much anymore, the skill that I still use is just ear training. Like, jazz is an oral tradition. It's generally not written down. So it's just passed on through albums and transcribing and listening and figuring it out by ear. And so from doing that for so many years now, I don't have a particularly hard time listening to things and just picking them up and hearing how they go together like that.
Which artists have had the biggest influence on you?
When I first started playing, the first guitarist that really struck me was Stevie Ray Vaughan. And then through him, I sort of backed up into like Jimi Hendrix and B.B. King and all this sort of Buddy Guy, great electric blues guys. And then through that got into a lot of classic rock, so I'm a huge like Led Zeppelin fan. And when I was a teenager, I was super into like, AC/DC, Deep Purple. I love Queen, they're awesome. But as far as shaping my playing, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, and then when I started at uni, I got really into Pat Metheny, who's a modern jazz, arguably the biggest modern jazz guitarist. And then from Pat Metheny, again, backing up into who he listened to, I checked out a lot of Wes Montgomery, who's sort of the iconic jazz guitarist from the 60s. He played with his thumb and developed a technique called octaves that everyone does today. Over the last few years, I've really gotten into going back even further, getting back to the blues, which is where I started with Stevie Ray Vaughan and stuff, trying to go back to the Delta blues, early days, and Robert Johnson is the name that everyone knows, and I had never really even checked him out until a few years ago, and just got into that, and again, was just knocked out, and so I went out and bought a Son House, Big Bill Broonzy, Blind Lemon Jefferson, as well as like some Bessie Smith and Lead Belly and all these great like early blues sort of pioneers and Delta guys, and so that's kind of brings me to now pretty much. I'm still kind of in the thick of trying to absorb the Delta blues language.
Sure. And so since you're originally from Perth, what made you want to move to Melbourne?
Was talking to some friends of mine who were living here, and it sounded like they were all having an awesome time and doing lots of different things. And so I bought a ticket and moved here like 3 days later. It was a real spur of the moment thing. And yeah, came over, I had no money, did the most Melbourne-y thing I could and got a job at a cafe for 15 bucks an hour. Just like 3 years later now, and I'm still here and love it in Melbourne. Yeah,
Indeed.
It's home now.
How does Melbourne compared to Perth, like music scene-wise?
There's way more venues, way more musicians, way more of everything. Gigs in Perth, I felt like at the time, would just lead to more gigs in Perth. Whereas here, I feel like it's a lot harder to get paid. It is a lot harder to get paid here, but there's a lot more variety, and if you've got any crazy idea, you can find a venue that'll put it on. And I think what tends to happen here is there's a lot of open mics and a lot of venues that enjoy getting sort of amateur musicians who kind of do it as a hobby, and will do like a couple of gigs a year because there's enough of them that certain venues can put on one of these people every night of the week, and these people maybe do 1 or 2 gigs a year, bring down all their friends and family, smash the bar, great night, everyone's happy. That's maybe the biggest difference, is that in Perth you get in with the musicians and then you sort of can get gigs that way, whereas here because there's so many musicians and it's sort of everyone's broken up into their little groups, you more get in with venues, try and do it that way. Well, that's been my experience anyway. And then you can sort out regulars and and then venues that are affiliated with that venue, you can approach them and sort of spread out that way.
You can find Bodes on facebook.com/Bodes Blues. That's Bodes spelt as BOADZ. And for more Melbourne Music Tonight, go into facebook.com/Melbourne Music Tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, Bodes.
Thank you, Max.
Pleasure. Welcome to Melbourne Music Tonight. I'm Max Kettler, and I'm joined by Seattle Fix. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. So, how would you describe your sound?
I guess we're just like a really kind of ambient, poppy, indie, rocky band. throw a few elements in there.
I think we all sort of have different backgrounds. I think, we just combined all our different sort of music that we've been brought up with, and then sort of just thrown it all into a pool, which sort of forms Seattle Fix.
Sure. And what kind of tastes did you throw into the mix?
A lot of my drumming comes from, like the Smashing Pumpkins and Placebo and all of those, and that mixes with the music these guys listen to.
I'd say a lot of sort of British and Canadian music, even local Melbourne music, like Snackadactyl, Alpine, definitely like Foals was a huge influence for us. Pure Earring even.
What have been the biggest lessons you guys have learned as a band?
I think definitely one of them would be to take every opportunity you can get to, to play gigs, you know, everywhere, what you can do. 'Cause I mean, it's a big learning experience, and to get somewhere, it's you got to put in the hard yards. So definitely just taking every opportunity we can get. I think.
Yeah, and not being afraid to let go of old stuff.
Yeah.
And moving on, material-wise.
Yeah.
Writing.
Indeed.
All the time.
Yeah. Getting better and better at it. Yeah.
So, how does your writing style compare to what it was originally?
I don't know. I still think it's very similar to what it was like a year or two ago.
We're just better at it.
Yeah, Liv kind of writes, I guess, like the core of the idea, like the main riffs and vocal lines and stuff. And then me and Luke just kind of come in and change structure and different parts and just kind of get the most out of it, I guess. And I think between the three of us, we do an okay job.
Yeah.
I think if we look to songs that we wrote a few years ago,
I hate this stuff.
We sort of laugh at it now and we sort of think,
Shocking.
did we really,
Shocking stuff.
pursue that idea? But no, I think we're just matured, and I think it's just that quest to sort of find your unique sound, and you've got to try different things and experience different sounds to really try to find where you want to set. And I think because we're just constantly changing, sort of, exposing new ideas, so we're still yet to find our real sound, but I think we're pretty close.
Yeah. I think writing now takes a lot longer than it used to.
Yeah.
Because we sit down with a computer and just
really
program stuff and freak out. So
Yeah.
it's a long
it's
Sure.
definitely. Yeah.
And how would you guys describe your creative process?
Well, for me personally, I like to lock myself away at home and play a song again and again and again, like with a backing track.
Sure.
The core idea, and then I'll develop that, and then I'll bring that, and we'll try it out.
I think it just all comes down to sort of what inspires you, what triggers, that start of that creative process, because there's no, right answer, there's no, right way of doing anything, because it's just such a creative process that anything really goes as long as you pursue it, 100%. And I think, so anything can really trigger some sort of, emotional response and some sort of chord progression, and then that can lead into something else. And then, once you start building on it, and then, for instance, if I come up with an idea that I really like, I'll show it to the guys, and then if they like it, we'll start pursuing it, adding more layers to it, and then really getting it ready to play live.
Sure.
I think it's a real team effort, I guess.
Yeah.
Good.
And how do you guys network with other people in the industry?
Yeah, it's all about just supporting local music live, and then forming connections and friendships with all these other bands, and then bands are always going to need people to play with on nights. So once you sort of start building relationships with other bands, you meet new people, and it just sort of spreads out like a tree, I guess.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And any pieces of advice for up and comers?
I'm traditional in the sense that I'll just say, practice, write.
Indeed.
Yeah. You just got to work really hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, I guess from my point of view, maybe, sort of, I know it sounds very cliche, but not to sort of be afraid to express yourself the way you want to express yourself, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of being like, I want to write this because I think people will like it, You know, if you don't like it, that's already,
Yeah.
you know, that should be, you know, warning bells flashing at you. Because you want to write, at the end of the day, you want to write the music that's the most true to you, that you connect with the most. And I think that's really important, especially when you want to play live. And people can see it, you can connect with it. You know, it's a completely different thing when you're emotionally attached to the music that you write. So I definitely think, yeah, that's a big thing for me.
I don't know. I'm not really a practiced musician as much
Sure.
anymore.
No, sure.
Like I don't sit at home and play as much guitar as
Yeah.
I used to. I just do it just because I enjoy it and I enjoy the music, and I only personally really want to play things that I would like to listen to.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, just do it for the love, I guess.
And where can people find you guys?
So we're on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Just Facebook. Is it facebook.com/SeattleFix or is it
They
Facebook?
don't need to know
I don't know, Barry, tell me.
Oh, I don't know, but if
No,
you
it is. It
you search Seattle Fix on Facebook, you'll find us. Also on SoundCloud, just the general interwebs.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Yes.
we're up there.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Around.
For more live music performances and interviews, be sure to visit facebook.com/Melbourne Music Tonight. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Cool.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
See you next week.